sitting on their laurels here, waiting for Gankstars to go ahead and set the tone.
Yeah, and what they're going to have to really do here is pick a composition that works really well for them. We know that Techno JJ has been playing a lot of that lane, but the thing is, Leon can swap up at any time, depending on the composition, depending on what kind of heroes they favor. You do know that with Gankstars Cerberus, they favor that Black Feather, they like that Rhyme, especially Skyvox and Ringo. But, you know, if you throw in that Scarf, you throw in that Celeste, you know, Leon can actually step it up. He can really make waves with this. He knows exactly the limitations for every single mage.
That's insane. I mean, it's one thing to just be like, okay, I main this and this hero, and we know a lot of players in the scene are like, okay, this is the hero. But to say, basically, he can take any mage, any sniper, and be able to push it to its limit, that's a big, bold statement there.
And, you know, speaking of statement, I feel like that Finn pick is a very big statement. Emerald King, last game. Just playing and knowing exactly when to use that reflex block, making sure that his whole team didn't get forced to cord. With him now picking up that Finn, I feel like their late game potential has so much more.
Wow. Yeah, really good call out there. He did have some nice blocks on those forced to cord, so good credit there, Rome, to him. And now with Cruel and the Sky pick, there's huge damage potential out of Snow Tsunami, and you just got to wonder, is this something they're a little more comfortable on as the Rhyme pick comes out? So now it's Finn and Rhyme. We're talking fortified health out the wazoo here. This is going to be dirty.
I feel like this right now, especially in this patch, is the strongest jungle composition coming out. If you're able to play the first 8 minutes very wisely, very conservatively, you know your power spike is going to be like outmassing their opponents.
Yeah, it definitely will be, and you got to be careful. That's one composition it's hard to get away from once they're on top of you. It's like, how do you get away from that? It's very deadly. Kestrel, the last pick for Gankstars, and then Arden going to be the last pick over here for Snow Tsunami. So, what are your final thoughts on those last picks there?
I feel like this is going to be a very slow-moving game. And this is something that you usually don't say against a team of Techno, JJ, and Leon. Usually you're like, okay, their games are very aggressive, their games are very fast,
Yeah.
but this is the total opposite. Like, their new playstyle right now is a lot of very slow paced games with a lot of smart plays.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Can they play this slow-moving style with a fast pace? Only time will tell, guys. We've loaded into the Halcyon Fold, so without further ado, we toss it to our casters, Action Jackson and Vidius. Take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. This is going to be an interesting game here. Very cool composition coming out of Gankstars, I feel. We saw Kestrel getting picked up towards the end of the winter season by teams like Team Secret and working quite well, especially in conjunction with Finn, so I'm excited to see it. Also, Kroll, we haven't seen him in ages. Vedius, he's finally back on the fold.
We did see him last week, to be fair. We did see him work out in a couple of times. I also saw him in NA, and he didn't work out as well as people had hoped. The way in which people were playing him wasn't quite the same as it was before. We have to remember actually how well that Kroll worked last week against the buff composition, specifically, and how he can work at just sticking onto a target and significantly mitigating their damage. If nothing else, he's become less of a major damage threat and more of a utility. I'm going to try and prevent you from being that hard carry. So that could be what No Life is trying to do. He wants to be jumping onto Techno and trying to shut down as much of his damage as possible. This Kestrel is going to be pretty squishy. But speaking of Kestrel, on 1.16 she has had some base stat increases to her attack damage, so she will be scaling a little bit better with that weapon power, and I imagine that she will be going for that weapon power build, especially when you have this Rhyme here once again. But I wonder how well this Rhyme is going to do this time. We talked about mobility in Game 1, and now I think we can both agree that Snow Tsunami have way more mobility than they did compared to Game 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a massive difference between playing Rhyme into a Saw and playing Rhyme into a Sky. You know, Sky is going to be able to get away from you a great deal of the time, I think. The biggest difference for me is probably that if they do get onto Sky, she is super squishy with regards to base stats, so maybe they can just blow her up. We'll have to see how things move forwards. They also have more of a realistic, consistent range damage threat on that Kestrel over Adagio, so perhaps Techno JJ's job is going to be shutting down PT Lamb.
Could very well be, as I'm looking at both the compositions right now, and I'm curious as to how No Life is going to be playing this early game. Right now, it looks like he's playing it pretty passively. We have to remember that in the winter season, what we saw a lot of was Krull moving up into the lane And when you pair that up with an Arden, you get the movement speed boost from the brush, you then dive straight onto the laner, and you have that immediate support from the Vanguard Arden to apply the slow, and you get Kroll getting a massive speed boost as well. And when you combine that with a really mobile Skye, you could probably put a lot of pressure down onto this Kestrel in the early game. But that's not what they decided to do. They're actually rotating as a 3 down into the jungle. They might be looking for a play right here.
Yeah, but immediately you can see that Gangstar Cerberus decided to back away, and I think that's super smart. This early on, Rhyme and Finn are going to struggle in that kind of a situation. They might be able to get away, but they're going to be bruised and maybe lose some camps, so just leaving right away makes sense to me. There's a route onto PT Lamp. Light Company keeps him a bit closer. Sisiska eats a quibble, but Techno JJ just doesn't quite have the damage to really capitalize on that kind of initiation just yet. The Gangstar Cerberus are not going to find anything too significant. Sisiska sticking up here with PT Lamb, just making sure he's safe, as Leon could still be around, but in actuality he is left. Go farm up some of those back camps.
Yep, so once again we see Gankstars Cerberus doing what they did in game 1 and saying, alright Leon, you just sit in the jungle by yourself, and you get as much solo farming experience as possible because we want you to be scaling up as quickly as possible. We want you to have that same level advantage you had in the game before. And look, he's already got it. He's level 5, highest level in the game right now. Currently sitting at 27 CS to the 23 of No Life. And things are working for Leon just like they did in game 1. He's going to be working towards that Eve of Harvest, I imagine, early on. He might go for a Frostburn to make it a little bit easier to stick to PT Lamb.
Up as well, and then just destroy the turrets. Welcome back.
Oh, was it me that cut off? I see.
I believe it was you, but it could have been me. It's hard to
everything went quiet, so one of us cut off, but we're both back now. So I have no idea what you just said. But
I was talking about how quickly the wave was pushed out, and the read that Gangstar Cerberus made, knowing that Snow Tsunami all went back to base, so they could get about half the damage down onto that turret.
Right. Okay. Cool. So that happened. Flare coming out from Sisiska right now. Snow Tsunami could be looking for a fight.
They could indeed, but at the moment they got to be careful given that PT Lamb has returned to lane. He's also actually eating a lot of damage just from those minions, so he's got to be careful here. Looks like No Life and Sisiska doing the smart thing and backing away when they don't have all 3 members together, as Gangstar Cerberus move up towards the lane yet again.
Look at the levels as well. Leon already hit level 6. First to hit level 6 once more. They could go for a dive right here.
Actually, they just want the turret. Look at how quickly that one goes down. Emmer King threatening to go for some kind of play there with the Polite Company, but doesn't commit to it. Gangstar Cerberus playing in a very measured and safe way. A big departure from Leon's play last game.
Yeah, so one thing I want to talk about, actually, that siege right there was... typically, you see Kestrel more in the jungle. That is where you usually decide to put her, because you want to try and get her as much farm as possible. And arguably it's a little bit safer in the jungle because you're not as at risk to ganks up in the lane. But it does sort of fit Techno's playstyle of being that sort of carry, having that sort of threat in the lane. And it reminds me very much of Qualifier, who also likes to play this Kestrel up in the lane, very highly skilled laner that can really make Kestrel work. But what putting Kestrel in the lane does is it actually sets up beautifully for sieges, because you get a lot of free farm, you can get those early power spikes quicker, and if you just look at that Sorrow Blade that's already been picked up for Techno, and then you can sit under a turret and you can put a huge amount of poke down, and it just makes it so much easier to taking away these turrets. So I actually really like this Kestrel up in the lane, and I think it's doing a great job. I think it's doing great work for Gankstars in this early game.
I would absolutely agree with you. Right now, no kills or assists, of course, as there's been no first blood across either team, but it's farming up very, very well. 75 to PT Lamb 69, and the waves are even, which means there are no additional minions for PT Lamb to pick up. Also in the jungle, we're seeing some great farm coming out of Leon, so across the board, very strong performances with regards to that on Gangstar Cerberus. From Hell's Heart is not going to land. That initiation stopped very short by Gangstar Cerberus. Now they want to turn things around. Maybe No Life having to book it away. Be careful here. Leon finds a root on Sisiska. Good damage out of Techno JJ, but Gangstar Cerberus don't have that forced accord yet. They couldn't really commit to the fight.
No Life trying to be a sneaky sausage right there, sitting in the brush, throwing out that from Hell's Heart. Wasn't quite able to land it onto Techno JJ. Don't think he properly predicted the pathing of Techno. And Techno, though, really quick on that active camo. He was like, what? No, I'm out. So really nice reflexes from him. But given the positional advantage that Gankstars gained off the back of that, they're able to rotate down and pick themselves up the first gold miner of the game. So you can see, compared to our first series, a lot more focus going down onto these objectives. And no actual first blood yet from this game. So this is exactly what Rome was saying. A little bit more of a reserved playstyle coming out from Gankstars. And just a little bit more passive. We're going to be transitioning more towards the mid-game. Wait for those big item spikes. And then we're going to start seeing action kicking off.
So personally, I'm really happy to see the kind of play that's coming out of Gankstars this game. I felt like last game, yes, Leon did the right things in the sense that he was proxy farming and invading a lot, but he also picked fights that he couldn't really afford to, and it reminded me of like the old Leon that we're used to, just very, very aggressive. This game, he's more truly playing the way I think he needs to be, more truly playing passively. So he's certainly showing that he has the capability to be very smart about the kind of decisions he makes in the early game, and that's encouraging for Gankstars moving forwards.
We have to remember last week, they ran a late scaling composition in both times in their round of 32 or their round of 16 match, and in game 1 they were super reserved. They waited for their power spikes and they took advantage of them immediately. But in game 2, where Leon and Techno actually swapped the Black Feather and the Vox, we then went back to seeing this over-aggressive playstyle. So to me, it very much is based on what hero Techno is actually playing. If Techno is allowed to be more aggressive, then Leon feels that that facilitates his aggression as well. But when Techno is playing on something that requires a little bit more time to scale up, and it has to be a little bit more reserved, that in turn results in Leon being passive himself. So I actually think that it's this pairing between the two that has resulted in this varied playstyle that we are seeing from Leon. But in fairness to the guy, I feel like we can say that Leon has made both aggressive and passive playstyles work for Gankstars.
Oh, he absolutely has, and right now, this is certainly working beautifully for Gankstars. They're sitting at a 3,000 gold lead off the back of 2 gold mines and that turret. Very early in the game, you know, sub 10 minutes. That's quite impressive considering they haven't really been fighting. They've just been controlling the map, playing the sort of more meta game, and I think that's working out beautifully for them. So, Snow Tsunami, perhaps without Look at Me, kind of struggling a little bit.
So I'm a little bit concerned for Snow Tsunami right now, because we have been talking a lot about Gankstars, but not so much about Snow. And when I think of Snow, I do think of Look at Me and how he was a very well-known Kroll player. I mean, we have a lot of them here in Europe, but I think we can both agree that Look at Me was a guy that we sat there and thought, if you give this guy Kroll, you got to be careful, because he is not that passive Kroll player. He will go for those invades in the early game. He will set up a lot of lane pressure with that Kroll, and so far we haven't seen any of that from Snow Tsunami. These guys are the aggressive Russians that love to go for a fight and somehow always pull out ahead when it looks like things are going wrong for them. And I'm just like, where is that team right now? Maybe they're a little bit scared, they're a little bit too afraid, because if they lose this, they get knocked out. But I feel like being too reserved against this Gankstars lineup is going to result in them Gankstars having everything that they want.
I agree with you, and I feel like as we approach later stages of the game, Gankstars maybe scale just a tad better.
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
it's fairly close between the two compositions, but I would definitely say that Gankstars have the slight edge. So the fact that they have a gold lead right now moving forwards is very concerning for Snow. I feel like they need to make a play. Like, they have to catch someone. They've got to control vision better. Although, admittedly, they're trying. There's been some good scout traps. They need more flares. That's the big thing for me.
But for me, the big thing is, again, Leon. He's level 12 at 11 minutes again. How does this guy do it? He is 3 levels above.
Look at the
well, now 2 levels ahead. Yeah, exactly. That was going to be my next point. The CS as well. He's basically double of No Life. He is, once again, just been farming up a storm in the jungle, and it has given him so much power so early on in the game. He's sitting at 785 gold right now. He's very close to picking up that 2 items. He's going to be terrifying on that Rhyme. And it has been 12 minutes with no kills, and I feel like this is perfect for Gankstars, because Rhyme has been free to get to the point that he wants to, and Sky doesn't really fall off, Kroll doesn't really fall off. When you think of a Rhyme over and a Kroll, I would much rather have a Rhyme at 20 minutes into the game than I would rather have a Kroll.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The other big point I want to mention here is how strong Leon is on that rhyme at sieging turrets. He's just destroying them when he walks up, throws out the Winter Spires from a distance, and Snow Tsunami is too afraid to initiate. Like, they don't want to run into Emmer King, so they're just like, oh, we'll let you hit.
Yeah.
But they're going to lose the turret if they do that. I mean, you got to do something.
We're yet to see a gauntlet in this game. It seems like a lot of teams are gauntlet averse today so far in Europe. Perhaps that could be the initiative. Look at the poke BT Lamb is taking right now.
Oh my god. You can see Emmer King tried to make an opportunity there by going for that forced accord. Didn't find it, but it actually encouraged No Life to throw out from Hell's Heart. Looking for maybe some counter engagement there. So, free turret. There's just nothing really left other than Gauntlet to defend it for Tsunami. So, things are not looking very good for them. Look at the damage coming on PT Lamb right now as well. Siska trying to jump in there, but he's not going to be able to find anything. Snow Tsunami can't do anything right now. I mean, this is really ridiculous.
Yeah, I am honestly struggling to figure out what Snow Tsunami do, and if Gankstars win without a single kill, I honestly think this is one of the the cleanest games of Vainglory I've ever seen. Because it takes a lot of skill to win a game without getting a single kill. Yeah, it might not be as enjoyable to watch. You don't get that bloodbath, that tense action, and you pretty much lose half your name. But I think that's about to change.
Oh, we're about to see a spike for sure. Siska jumping into the gauntlet. Look at the damage on all the members of Snow Tsunami right now. They're trying to kite back. They have bought some space, but it's not going to be enough. Techno JJ, first blood 14 minutes into the game, finds the kill onto Siska. Now PT Lamb might be the next target. Forced Accord is available. He's going to find it. That's the hook in. Leon picks up the kill. No Life right now is in a bit of a dicey position as well. He gets caught out. Techno JJ finds the ace. When action happens, it happens in a big way. That's going to be a very nice fight for Gankstars Cerberus.
You could see there Snow Tsunami tried to force engagement, just like you and I were saying. They needed to do something. They needed to make some kind of a play, and they decided to go for that gauntlet engagement, trying to split up Gankstars. But the problem is they ran straight into Leon, and we were talking about, hey, how is he now going to deal with this super mobile composition that is actually available on the side of Snow Tsunami, and they just ran straight into him. If they close the gap for him, that just makes Leon's life easier. Because just if you just look at this composition from Gankstars, right? Well, hang on a second, we don't have time for that because the fight's about to kick off.
That's gonna be the one-shot, one-kill on the PT Lamb. You can see a lot of damage. Valkyrie follows it up. Winter Spire to the Forced Accord. Look at the damage. PT Lamb is turning this one around. Not quite enough, though, as Leon, the fortified health is ridiculous. He's just not going down. Techno JJ, he kites back from No Life. The smite does not do anywhere near enough. It's back-to-back aces for Gankstars Cerberus. And, yeah, this is not looking good for Snow Tsunami.
PT Lamb almost turned that fight around. He was doing a lot of damage with this Shatterglass Broken Myth build. I mean, he dived in and I thought, nah, he's dead right there. But he stayed alive long enough to almost turn the fight around, but it's not enough. Leon is so strong at this point, and I think Gankstars could just end the game right now.
This is so one-sided. Snow Tsunami, they can't defend. The Vein Crystal explodes, and in possibly the cleanest 2-0 we have seen all season, which admittedly isn't that long. Spring has only just started. Is going to be going the way of Gankstars Cerberus, so congratulations to them. They move forward to the semifinals. Snow Tsunami, second place team from the winter season. They're going to be going home.
I thought that was the cleanest game of Vainglory I've ever seen. That was honestly very, very impressive. The fact that, look, 3-0-1 Techno JJ, 3-0-1 Leon, 0-0-6 Emma King. What such a beautiful scoreline. I mean, it's just looking at it, it's just like so pretty to look at, and I'm really impressed. Snow Tsunami, second place team at the Live Championships, got demolished by Gankstars Cerberus. There was a lot of hype coming in behind this team, but I want to come back to this point earlier, very quickly, this composition coming out from Gankstars, and the reason why I love it so much, because Ryan and Finn do rely on, being within range. You have to be close, okay? They need to close the gap, and so Snow Tsunami can just kite them out for days. They have the ability to do that. But what they don't have the ability to do is deal with the siege that comes out with this combo of Kestrel and Finn. Because it effectively works in the same way as a Saw push comp does. You have a lot of poke, you have a lot of ability to just take down the turret quickly, and if there's a lot of wave clear, you just throw out the hook and you catch someone out of position. And so Gankstars had two options. They could either fight in the jungle with Rhyme, or they could siege up in the lane with the Kestrel. And because they had so many options available to them, Tsunami didn't know how to respond, and it was just a clean win for Gankstars. It was just, I'm blown away of how great that game was.
It really was a sort of lesson to us all in very proper map play coming out from Gankstars Cerberus. Going to be interesting to see how things develop as they move forward into the semifinals. I think they're real contenders for making it all the way here in the spring season first qualifier.
Do we know who they play yet?
Do we know who they play next?
Not yet.
No,
Hasn't been
I
decided
don't
yet.
think so. So
Not yet.
we'll be working that out later on today.
Oh, Mouse.
Oh,
okay.
it's Mouse Sports. Right,
That'll
right,
be a good
okay.
game. That'll be a good
That
game.
will be a great game, I would argue. Very exciting to see. So, guys, make sure you tune in tomorrow for that. But in any case, we're going to be passing it back to our analysts as we begin to move forward into the second half of this evening.